Historiography is the intensive, unbiased study of how history was written and by whom. It is the critical examination of obscured sources to see if and how certain historical events have been reinterpreted over time. The geographical origins of both the Egyptian and the Israeli cultures are virtually unknown. This is not a coincidence. It is for this reason that near the end of World War II, on February 14, 1945, while anchored off the coast of Egypt, the President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, an esteemed Harvard alumnus, secretly met with King Ibn Saud of Saudi Arabia. Their mission was to resolve the problem of Palestine, caused by the British Empire's arbitrary decision to forcefully establish a Jewish enclave in that territory 28 years earlier. And with the catastrophic failure of the British Empire to control the initial influx of Jewish settlers, as they had promised, a new and growing concern of another future territorial war loomed, since it was rightfully anticipated that many thousands of additional people, those of Israeli heritage, would soon be descending upon Palestine from war-torn Europe. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt died shortly thereafter, and their mission to resolve the problem of Palestine by critical examination was never fulfilled. This is the real-world story of Israel by critical examination. The true location of Mount Zion and Jerusalem, where the Judean King Solomon built a massive temple structure, has never been forensically identified. Even so, the term Zionism was still adopted circa 1890 to identify the quest to establish a purely Jewish state, someplace in the world. These are the words of Theodor Herzl, the founder of modern political Zionism, in his quest to establish a purely Jewish state, circa 1901. The historic homeland of the Jews no longer has any value for them. It is childish to go in search of the geographical location of the homeland. In any case, I believe that after the next Zionist Congress, we shall proceed in a practical way to the land, any land. This comes from the reference source Theodor Herzl by Alex Bein, page 101, published by the Jewish Publication Society of America in Philadelphia in 1941. It is a matter of record that after leaving Egypt, the Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. But even if this large group of people, who numbered in the thousands, advanced towards Jerusalem at the rate of just a single mile a day, they would have traveled along a path that was more than 14,000 miles long. Yet not a single trace of their wandering existence has ever been found within this region. No encampments, no beaten paths, no skeletal remains, no human waste, no war carnage, no validated structures, no graffiti, absolutely nothing. And for this reason, many no longer believe the stories of the Bible to be true. But they are. It is only the theories proposed in the 19th century and the actions they subsequently inspired in the 20th century that are wrong. But 21st century technology has dramatically changed the way in which both the world and all of its historically important features can be viewed. To put this same 14,000-mile distance into yet another real-world perspective, the people of Israel, traveling just by land alone, and at the same incredibly slow rate of just a single mile per day, could have easily traveled between the most southerly pyramid fields of Meroe and the most northerly pyramid fields of Giza, more than 10 separate times. And even today, despite nearly a century of aggressive attempts to do so, no proven, untainted, or infallible evidence yet exists, which confirms the declarations made by those untrained men in the 19th century as to the location of either the Exodus route, Mount Sinai, Mount Zion, or any other critical point of interest to be either true, accurate, or precise in accordance with the Judaic record. And in the absence of tangible evidence, only theories and untruths remain. And when untruths are spoken often enough, the unsuspecting eventually believe them to be true. In accordance with the Judaic record, and as evidenced by the physical and the historical elements of that era, this is the real-world story of Israel, Palestine, and the Exodus of Moses, including how and where the water of the Red Sea parted. This is the Red Sea. It is an intensely hot, waterless, and unforgiving tract of desert, whose aptly called name has existed since ancient times. Noah departed his island home just before it disappeared under the waves in a cataclysmic event, more popularly known today as the Great World Flood. For 150 days he and his sons drifted along on the ocean currents before their ship made landfall at a towering pinnacle of stone known as Ararat, located in the land of Shinar. And in time these few mariners eventually moved inland along the nearby riverway. But because the sons of Noah began to argue amongst themselves, Noah, who is the world's most well-known mariner and astronomer, divided the earth into 3 parts. And he did so by measuring from a very particular and most unique celestial line, as defined by the major standstill positions of the moon. And also featuring the true location of Mount Sinai and the temple complex ruins. Mount Sinai is also known as Jebel Bakal, or the Holy Mountain of God. In accordance with the Judaic record, and as evidenced by the physical and the historical elements of that era, this presentation sets forth the true real-world story of Israel, the man and the country, the Exodus of Moses, including how and where the water of the Red Sea parted, and the original founding of the sanctuary territories of Palestine and Syria, circa 1246 BCE. To view the entire Part 3 documentary highlighted in this trailer, go to thekeeperofthestone.com, where you will also find the real-world story of Noah after the flood, including the navigational sciences of that era and the true location of Ararat, and the real-world story of Jesus in his earliest and his last years, including the true location of Bethlehem, Nazareth, and Jerusalem.